Have you ever wondered why some women seem to haunt a man's thoughts long after she's gone, while others fade like passing shadows? There is a particular kind of woman who does not chase, does not beg, does not perform. She stands still while the world spins around her, and yet somehow every eye turns toward her. She embodies a paradox that confuses the ego and awakens the soul. To the untrained mind, she appears distant. To the awakened one, she is freedom itself. In Jungian psychology, she represents the Anima in her untamed form, the archetype of the divine feminine that refuses domestication. She is not defined by her relationship to a man, to a role, or to society's expectation. She belongs to herself, and it is precisely that sovereignty that magnetizes those around her. Her power is not loud, it is magnetic, silent, and deeply unsettling to those who live by control. The more a man seeks to possess her, the more she eludes him, not because she is playing games, but because her nature cannot be owned. You see, the masculine psyche, according to Jung, carries an unconscious longing for the feminine principle, the anima that symbolizes emotion, intuition, and mystery. Yet most men project this image onto women, mistaking desire for love and control for connection. When they encounter the untamed woman, that illusion collapses. She mirrors back his deepest hunger, not for her body, but for his own lost soul. She stirs what he has suppressed, challenges what he has denied, and forces him to confront the emptiness beneath his need for dominance. And when he cannot control her, he obsesses, because the human ego is addicted to what it cannot conquer. To a man trapped in egoic patterns, her refusal to chase him is an existential threat. It dismantles the fragile scaffolding of his self-worth. He is used to being pursued, validated, needed. But she does not orbit him. She orbits herself. And that self-containment, that impenetrable calm, drives him to madness. To you, the listener, perhaps you have felt this pull within yourself, the longing to be wild again, to walk away from the noise of proving, of pleasing, of being enough. Maybe you've grown weary of chasing love that only feeds your wounds. The untamed woman within you is not cruel, she is clarity. She has seen the cost of self-betrayal and refuses to pay it again. Her silence is not absence, it is power reclaimed. The untamed woman is not born from ease. She emerges after loss, after heartbreak, after watching the masks of men crumble and realizing she can no longer play the role written for her. She is sculpted by solitude, sharpened by self-awareness, and guided by an inner compass that points to truth, not comfort. When she stops chasing, she does not become cold, she becomes whole. Her love transforms from need into gift. Men sense this instinctively, even if they cannot articulate it. The modern man, conditioned by conquest and validation, meets her presence and feels small, not because she diminishes him, but because he has not yet met his own depth. He senses that to be near her, he must evolve. He must abandon the childish game of dominance and learn reverence. Her power does not invite submission, it demands consciousness. Carl Jung once wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The untamed woman is that alchemical force. She does not seduce with words. She awakens with presence. A man who touches her energy either rises or retreats. There is no in-between. She is the test of his maturity, the mirror of his integration. And yet she does not seek to teach. She simply is, like the moon pulling the tides without a word. Her stillness disturbs because it reflects how restless others truly are. She will not chase love because she has learned that real love cannot be caught. It can only be met. To chase is to abandon oneself. To stand still is to remember one's worth. Her beauty is not only physical, it is archetypal. It speaks to something ancient, something men have always feared and worshipped, the woman who belongs to herself. In mythology, she is Artemis, the huntress who bows to no man. She is Lilith, who chose exile over obedience. She is every woman who remembered her soul before her role. And in the eyes of the unconscious masculine, she is chaos incarnate, because she does not need him to define her. But beneath his obsession lies something pure, a buried recognition. He senses that through her, he could rediscover the lost feminine within himself, the empathy, the intuition, the capacity to feel. That is why he cannot forget her. She is not a woman. She is a mirror of everything he has exiled from his own psyche. And for her, obsession is not flattery, it is a warning. She knows that the man who has not met his own darkness will try to make her responsible for his light. And so, she withdraws, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Because she understands that freedom cannot bloom where dependency roots itself. She loves, yes, but without losing herself. She gives, but never empties. She touches deeply, but does not cling. Because the untamed woman has learned that the moment she begins to chase, she begins to forget. And forgetting herself is a wound she will never reopen. To understand the untamed woman is to step into a realm beyond logic. A space where love is not a transaction, but a revelation. She does not follow the familiar choreography of romance. She moves by instinct, by energy, by truth. Her world is not ruled by shoulds or if-onlys, but by a deep inner knowing that what is meant for her will arrive in resonance, not resistance. She knows that chasing distorts energy, that what is hunted begins to hide. So she does not pursue. She attracts through alignment. This kind of woman cannot be decoded by surface eyes. To those who crave predictability, she seems like chaos. To those who have met their own depths, she feels like home. In Jungian terms, she embodies the individuated feminine, a consciousness that has integrated both her shadow and her light. She has faced the parts of herself that once sought validation and found within them the source of her own divinity. Every man who meets her stands at a crossroads. If he is ruled by ego, he will perceive her autonomy as rejection. But if he has begun his own individuation, the sacred journey of self-realization, he will recognize her distance as sacred space. Because in truth, she does not reject him. She simply refuses to become the vessel of his projections. She will not play the role of savior, mother, or mirror to his unhealed wounds. She has burned those scripts. And here lies the paradox that consumes men. She seems unreachable, yet she feels closer than anyone. When she looks at him, she sees through him. She does not flatter his false self. She speaks to the essence hidden beneath his defenses. Her presence calls his soul forward, not with words, but with silence. And it is that silence, that refusal to fill the space with need, that unravels him. Because for the first time, he meets a woman who does not orbit his sun. In that moment, his psyche trembles. The persona he has built, the mask of strength, control, and superiority, begins to crack. Jung would call this the confrontation with the shadow, the encounter with the repressed and unlived parts of oneself. Through her, he sees his own emotional hunger, his dependency on being desired, his terror of vulnerability. And rather than soothing those wounds, she stands still and lets him face them. The untamed woman is not a fantasy. She is initiation. To love her is to enter the fire of transformation. Many men cannot endure that heat. They label her too much, too cold, or too complicated, not realizing they are speaking of their own fear. Her depth exposes how shallow their self-awareness truly is. She does not punish, she reveals. And revelation can feel like ruin to the one who is not ready. But when a man begins to rise, something extraordinary happens. The polarity between them shifts from power struggle to sacred union. He no longer seeks to own her. He seeks to understand himself through her presence. He learns that control is not love and dominance is not strength. He starts to see that to love an untamed woman is to meet her where she stands, not to cage her, but to walk beside her. To you, perhaps you have felt this dance within your own life, the pull to surrender your authenticity for connection, the ache to be chosen even if it means losing yourself. But understand this. Every time you silence your truth to be loved, you reinforce the illusion that love must be earned. The untamed woman knows that love cannot coexist with self-betrayal. She does not choose between connection and self-respect. She demands both, or she walks away. She is not waiting for a man to understand her. She is building her life so completely, so fully, that only one who speaks the same emotional language can enter it. Her solitude is not emptiness, it is sacred ground. She knows that only from aloneness can authentic union emerge. As Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Her bravery lies in the quiet decision to remain free, even when the world calls it loneliness. And yes, men will obsess. They will replay conversations in their minds, haunted by the way she made them feel seen. They will wonder why her absence feels louder than the presence of others. They will analyze, project, even demonize, because to name her mystery is to soothe their discomfort. But she remains unbothered, because her power does not depend on being understood. She lives not in pursuit, but in presence. She does not grasp at love, she embodies it. She does not fight for attention, she commands it by existing as herself, unapologetically and completely. The world bends toward those who know where they stand, and she stands firmly in her own center. For the untamed woman, life is not about taming others or being tamed. It is about remembering that the wildness within her is not a flaw to correct, but a flame to guard. She does not need validation, applause, or explanation. She knows that love rooted in freedom is the only kind that endures. Men have always been drawn to mystery, but few understand that the mystery they chase is not in the woman herself. It is in what she awakens within them. The untamed woman becomes the mirror of a man's unfulfilled potential, the untouched terrain of his own emotional wilderness. To the unhealed masculine, this reflection is intolerable. He sees in her independence a silent accusation. You have not yet met yourself. This is why he both desires and resents her. He admires her freedom, yet fears the loss of control it demands. He romanticizes her energy while secretly wishing to domesticate it, to make her love predictable, safe, and contained. But the untamed woman cannot be reduced to comfort. She is the embodiment of life's wild intelligence, the chaos that births creation, the storm that clears illusion, the silence that follows truth. In every era, society has tried to rewrite her. Religion called her dangerous. Philosophy called her irrational. Culture called her too much. But Jung understood that what the world suppresses in women, it suppresses in itself. When the feminine is denied her full expression, her intuition, sensuality, and emotional intelligence, humanity loses balance. The untamed woman is the return of that balance. She restores what civilization forgot, that power and softness can coexist, that love can be fierce without being dependent, that beauty can be sacred without being owned. For the woman listening, perhaps you felt that battle inside you, the desire to love deeply while fearing the loss of yourself. The world told you that love meant giving until you're empty, but your soul remembers another, truth. Love that costs your self-respect is not love, it's worship of illusion. You are not here to beg for affection, but to embody the kind of presence that makes everything unworthy fall away. The untamed woman does not seek permission to exist. Her very breath defies conformity. She speaks when she has something to say, not when silence would be safer. She walks away not because she doesn't care, but because she cares for her peace more than she craves validation. She has learned that begging for love drains the soul faster than solitude ever could. To men, she is intoxicating precisely because she is unpredictable. She does not feed the male ego. She dismantles it. When she doesn't chase, he begins to question his worth. When she doesn't respond to his manipulation, he confronts his powerlessness. And when she does not need him, he is forced to ask the question he's avoided all his life. Who am I when I am not being desired? This is her sacred medicine. Not to wound, but to awaken. Her refusal to be possessed teaches the masculine that love is not dominance, but devotion. Not conquest, but communion. She invites him to meet her not as master or savior, but as equal. But equality terrifies the unevolved man, because it demands the death of his ego. He cannot pedestalize her, nor can he pity her. He must meet her eye to eye, soul to soul. Jung wrote that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. The untamed woman has paid for that privilege in fire. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every time she chose herself instead of approval, it forged her essence. She knows now that peace is not found in being chosen, but in choosing consciously. Her life is a quiet rebellion against every narrative that taught women to chase what depletes them. And yet, she is not bitter. She does not hate men. She sees through them. She recognizes that behind their arrogance lies longing, behind their distance lies fear, behind their obsession lies the ache to touch something real. And she offers compassion, but never at the expense of her boundaries. For she has learned that mercy without discernment becomes martyrdom. In her world, love is not a rescue mission. It is a dance between two beings who have already rescued themselves. When she loves, it is without attachment. When she lets go, it is without hatred. Because she has understood the universal law, everything that is truly hers cannot be taken, and everything that leaves was never meant to. Stay. The untamed woman's solitude is not an absence of love. It is the presence of wholeness. She sits comfortably in her aloneness, not as an exile, but as a queen in her temple. The noise of the world may call it loneliness, but she knows it as sacred quiet. From that stillness, she creates, she attracts, she inspires. Her energy no longer leaks toward those who cannot meet her depth. And yet, paradoxically, this detachment is what makes her unforgettable. The man who meets her will measure every woman after her by her silence, her eyes, her unyielding grace. He will wonder what kind of strength lives in a heart that does not beg to be kept. And in that wondering, he will begin his own awakening. For she was never sent to be possessed. She was sent to remind him of his own soul. The untamed woman is not the end of his journey, but the mirror of its beginning. There comes a moment when the untamed woman ceases to be a mystery and becomes a mirror. A man, drawn by her magnetism, eventually realizes that what he desires is not her body, but the freedom she represents. It is not her beauty that haunts him. It is the absence of need in her gaze, the way she can look into him without hunger, without demand, and still make him feel profoundly seen. It is this paradox that breaks him open. For the first time, he senses love without control, connection without conquest, and it terrifies him. In Jungian terms, he has met his anima in the flesh, his internal feminine principle projected onto an external woman. But projection cannot hold truth for long. The untamed woman does not allow herself to remain a fantasy. She is too real, too grounded, too aware. She reflects his idealization back to him until he realizes that what he loves in her is what he has yet to awaken within himself. And thus she becomes both temptation and teacher. Her calm disarms his strategies. His charm, his games, his attempts to provoke jealousy, all of it falls flat before her. She does not respond to emotional bait because she is not performing for approval. When he withdraws, she does not chase. When he tests her boundaries, she smiles and holds her ground. Her silence communicates what no argument ever could. She knows her worth. This knowledge is not arrogance, it is remembrance. She remembers the years she spent chasing validation, the nights she wept for love that was conditional, the pieces of herself she gave away to be chosen. Each heartbreak carved a deeper self-respect within her. Now, her peace is non-negotiable. She has learned that the woman who fears being alone will always settle for less. So, she became her own company first. The untamed woman is not a fantasy of rebellion. She is discipline in disguise. She has mastered the art of restraint, the power of not reacting, not explaining, not needing to prove her value. Like the Stoics, she understands that power lies in response, not reaction. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." She lives by this creed. Her serenity is her sovereignty, and yet her detachment is not cold. Beneath her composure lies warmth, fierce, intelligent, selective warmth. When she loves, it is with the full force of her soul. But her love no longer comes from emptiness. It flows from overflow. She no longer seeks to complete anyone, nor does she expect to be completed. Her love is not barter, it is blessing, and that is why it feels divine to those who receive it. To men, this is disorienting. They have been conditioned to equate love with dependence, submission, and emotional labor. When she gives without attachment, when she leaves without drama, it confuses them. They mistake her peace for pride, her distance for disinterest, not realizing they are witnessing the rarest form of power, emotional self-mastery. For the woman watching, perhaps you have felt that inner split between your softness and your strength. You have been told to choose, to be nurturing or independent, to be kind or unyielding. But the untamed woman refuses that false dichotomy. She has integrated both. Her compassion does not make her naive, and her independence does not make her unloving. She is both the river and the mountain. Her untamed nature is not recklessness. It is authenticity unfiltered by fear. She has no desire to impress. She desires only to express truth. She does not manipulate affection or beg for clarity. She moves where energy is, reciprocated, and withdraws where it is not. She lives in alignment with the law of emotional reciprocity. What flows freely stays, what must be forced ends. And when a man meets her, he stands before an invitation disguised as a challenge. She is not asking him to worship her, but to rise to her level, to meet her in consciousness, not control. He must shed his masks, confront his insecurities, and learn that vulnerability is not weakness, but entry into truth. Only then can he love her without breaking her wings. But she will not wait for him to evolve. She has learned that waiting for someone to meet you in your worth is another form of self-abandonment. She blesses his path, releases his hand, and keeps walking. Not in bitterness, but in reverence for her own evolution. Because she knows, every time she chooses herself over fear, she expands her capacity to love the right one when he arrives. The untamed woman does not live in resistance to love. She lives in readiness for real love. Love that does not ask her to shrink, apologize, or forget who she is. A love that does not confuse chaos with passion or control with devotion. Her heart is open, but her standards are sacred. She has learned that it is better to walk alone in truth than be adored in illusion. And so she continues, wild, grounded, luminous. A walking paradox. The proof that freedom and love are not enemies, but twins born of the same soul. Her presence reminds the world that a woman's highest calling is not to be desired, but to be aligned with herself, with life, with the divine rhythm that flows through her veins. There is something haunting about a woman who has made peace with her solitude. The world cannot manipulate her. Attention no longer seduces her. Approval no longer sustains her. She walks through the noise of desire as though she were made of stillness itself, untouchable, yet profoundly present. This is the stage of the untamed woman few ever see. The serenity after the storm, the quiet after the long war between her need to be loved and her need to be free. She has discovered that true love and freedom are not opposites. They are reflections of the same inner state. When she ceased chasing, she began attracting, not through strategy or charm, but through energetic integrity. Everything that aligns with her peace now moves toward her. Everything that doesn't simply dissolves. She no longer clings to outcomes because she no longer measures her worth by them. To her, loss is no longer punishment. It is purification. Jung once wrote that the most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. The untamed woman has done exactly that. She has descended into her own unconscious, met her shadow face to face, and embraced even the parts of her that were once too wild, too needy, too angry, too vulnerable. She has alchemized them into wisdom. Every insecurity became a compass. Every heartbreak became a teacher. Every silence became a sacred initiation. That is why she radiates an aura that unsettles people who live on the surface. Her energy carries depth, the kind that cannot be performed or pretended. She no longer seeks to be liked. She seeks to be understood by those capable of understanding. And in that rare authenticity lies her greatest magnetism. To the masculine that is ready, she is a portal, not to comfort, but to consciousness. She calls forth the part of him that wants to be real. The untamed woman does not flirt with his ego. She speaks to his essence. She doesn't need him to provide her with identity. She needs him to hold space for truth. And that truth is not always pretty. It will demand that he shed the armor of his pride, confront his wounds, and dismantle the illusions that keep him small. If he rises to meet her, something extraordinary happens. Together, they form what Jung called the sacred union of opposites, the hieros gamos, the inner marriage between the masculine and feminine within both souls. It is a love born not of dependency but of recognition. I see you because I have seen myself. This is the highest form of relationship, not a merging of two halves but a communion of two wholes. But if he cannot meet her there, she does not resent him. She blesses him and continues her path because she knows the sacred cannot be rushed. She understands that every soul meets her at its own level of readiness. To those still ruled by ego, she will appear aloof. To those ruled by fear, she will seem dangerous. But to those ruled by truth, she will feel like destiny. For the women watching, this is the initiation that awaits when you stop apologizing for your power, when you no longer shrink to fit inside the expectations of those who fear your wholeness, when you refuse to dilute your light just to make others comfortable in their darkness. Freedom, real freedom, begins the moment you no longer fear your own reflection. The untamed woman's life becomes her temple. Every choice she makes is an act of devotion, not to a man, not to a role, but to her soul. Her solitude becomes sacred ground. Her words become spell work. Her boundaries become prayer. She doesn't chase success. She embodies abundance. She doesn't beg for love. She emanates it. Her very being becomes evidence of what happens when a woman remembers who she is before the world told her who to be. And when love does find her, because it will not arrive as drama or chaos. It will come quietly, like recognition. A steady gaze that doesn't seek to own, but to honor. A partnership not of survival, but of evolution. Because she no longer vibrates on the frequency of desperation, she lives in the rhythm of trust. Men will continue to speak of her in whispers, calling her the one that got away, the mystery I could never solve, the piece I didn't understand. But she is not lost. She was never theirs to lose. She belongs to herself. And from that sovereignty she chooses with discernment, loves with clarity, and lives with unshakable grace. Because in the end, the untamed woman is not at war with the world. She is in harmony with the divine. She has learned that life is not something to chase, but something to flow with. She no longer fights to be seen, because she has seen herself, and that vision is enough. The woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses.